Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a wild podcast has appeared, the official Comicbook.com Pokemon podcast. That's right. We have decided to branch out from Comic Book Nation and just do a podcast specifically around the world of Pokemon. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Viscardi, and with us today, we have the queen of anime herself at Comicbook.com, Megan Peters.
Yes, hello.
And
I'm here.
and our Pokeologist, I would say, our resident Pokemon expert here at Comicbook.com, Christian Hoffer. Christian, welcome.
Hello.
Excellent. So, the main purpose of this show is, there's a small movie coming out called Detective Pikachu. But at the same time, we have been covering Pokemon for a very, very long time at Comicbook.com. And there are so many people here at the site that love it so much. Christian, that's literally the only thing that he does. And we decided we need to get a roundtable together, talk about the news, talk about the stuff that we love, and just get into it. Like Pokemon, I think, it's hitting it's in an anniversary year. I think with Detective Pikachu is going to become bigger than ever. So why not start? So this will be a weekly show. You'll be able to find it on basically everywhere you can get podcasts, on iTunes, on Spotify, Stitcher, really anywhere. We'll have an RSS feed, posts on the site, you name it, you'll be able to find this podcast. So with that being said, you can find us every Thursday right now until we decide to change it up. But right now, every Thursday, a wild podcast has appeared, will show up. And let's get into it. What I wanted to do first, Christian created this elaborate rundown of how he wanted the show to go. And I'm going to immediately just sort of throw it out the window. Not throw it out the window. But I think it would help just talk about how we all got started on Pokemon. I will never forget it. My first intro to Pokemon, I had a cousin who lived way far away in Pennsylvania when I was living in New York at the time and said, hey, you need to play this Pokemon game that's coming out. And I was like, I don't know what it is. He's like, it's this game. You can collect, monsters. He goes, I'm gonna get the red version. You get the blue version. At the time, I didn't know the difference. I was like, well, what the hell? And so I did. So Pokemon Blue, I got it immediately when it came out, and I was hooked. From there, I got hooked onto the anime. I got hooked onto the trading card game. I will forever be a stan for Pokemon Snap. The fact that it is not out on the Virtual Console for the Switch is just awful.
Right.
Especially with it's got the motion
We got
settings.
the Nintendo Labo out now.
Like, what the heck? That needs to come back. It blows my mind that we are at a point today where Pokemon games look better from a battle standpoint than Pokemon Stadium did when it came out for the 64. I never thought that would happen. And all I wanted was a game on the N64 that had the graphics of Stadium, but had the playability of it. And Jesus Christ, here we are 20 years later, and we have that. And like I said, I collected all those little tiny figurines. I was just so in it. And then I remember there was that weird sort of, I don't want to call it like the dark ages of Pokemon, but I'd probably say like post Black and White, I would say, is where it got a little bit sort of murky for me. I dipped out a little bit. But, I truly jumped back into it. I've played all the games, but I wasn't really invested in it until Let's Go came out, just recently for the Switch, because I've got a kid now, and so now I'm trying to indoctrinate her and make her, follow all the things I like. To be fair, she likes it all well on her own. She has her own favorite Pokemon. It's going very well for me. But I love being able to look back at the franchise and see all the different touch points for me, for the franchise itself. I remember, we'll talk about it a bit, Christian, when you talk about like the Pokemon Go craze. Like, it was, for us, it was just an enormous thing for us at the site, in which had us just really dive into Pokemon. But it's when the first trailer dropped for Detective Pikachu, I was like, this is it. This is the moment where Pokemon, which is already this enormous franchise, is going to hit next level. I'm going to stop talking because I've been rambling. Megan, what are your first and earliest Pokemon memories?
Yeah, I mean, hi, hello, I'm Megan, and I'm a Pokemon addict. That's basically how I'm introducing myself to everyone here. I've just, as long as I can remember, I've loved Pokemon. I mean, the anime and the games kind of came out pretty centrally in that same time frame, and so, they were in Japan, they were brought to America, and I just loved every single bit of it. I saw this little Pikachu, and I was like, that thing's adorable. And my little kid self in elementary school was like, that's what I need. I don't need a Disney princess. I want that thing on my backpack. So I very much got into the games. I had Pokemon Blue because blue is my favorite color, and I was like all about that Squirtle squad.
Was that your starter?
Squirtle squad. I always go water. Water's always my starter. Just blanket.
I was totally a Charmander person.
Oh no, I'm always a water starter. And
Hoffer, who was your starter?
Bulbasaur, come on.
Oh yeah, no, he's the king of Bulbasaur. So we each have our things. That's
like
us.
that. That's
Water
awesome.
type, fire type, grass type. We're great. But yeah, no, I definitely just loved the anime. Watched it religiously after school with my grandmother. And I played the games. I'd always sneak flashlight into my bed at bedtime to play. I also really loved the
You had
trading
one of those
card
really
games.
bad
Yes.
lights that plugged into the side of the Game Boy.
Yeah,
that shone over.
yeah, I
That
had
was
that thing.
Really ineffective.
Yeah, it did not work. It was definitely not super effective, just so we're all very clear. But I also hustled people on the trading card games. I remember like jacking a holographic Charizard off someone at a Toys R Us in the bathroom, like stalls area.
I've got a great TCG story, but I'm gonna hold it.
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
a good one.
So no, I've always loved it. I've kept up with all the generations. Sun and Moon is definitely one of my favorites. I still play that regularly, as well as Pokemon Go. Whenever I'm anywhere, that's always what I'm doing. That's what all my friends know me for. So I'm definitely in love with this franchise, in love where it's going. Detective Pikachu, as we will talk about soon, definitely is the next phase of where Pokemon's going to go, and it's just going to blow up. So if you thought Iron Man was a great way to start the MCU, Pikachu is about to...
Oh boy.
Pikachu, I'm making bold words.
Hopper, what about you?
So when I was 11, I moved houses, moved to a new city, and I didn't know anyone, and I got dropped off at like a bus stop, which was at an elementary school, and so they had the TV on, and I remember it was like week of school, and this new anime came on, and it was Pokemon. It was the very first episode, and like I couldn't make any friends or anything like that, but I just remember like everything's going to be okay as I watched the stupid 10-year-old kid named Ash Ketchum with a Pikachu who hated his guts, and from there it just like hooked me in a really developmental time. And so like you two, I jumped into the games, I did the trading cards. I played basically up until college, kind of fell away from the franchise a bit. When Pokemon X and Y came out, me and my wife jumped back into it. And then Jim asked me if I wanted to start covering Pokemon for Comicbook.com. And I remember going, yeah, that I'm sure I can come up with an article or something like that. And then Pokemon Go happened. It took over my life for like 3 months. And now we're here.
That I will never forget those first days because like you had just kind of just started.
Yeah, I just started full time when like I'd done my part time, and I was like, oh, this is good. I got a handle on it. And then the game drops, and I was like, I don't got a handle on this. Oh my gosh.
And this is a bit inside baseball side though, but like there was all we had to do was put Pokemon Go in a headline, and it just exploded. And like there were just it to watch that as a phenomenon, to go to parks and see so many people out playing this game who will either admittedly said like I haven't played a Pokemon game in years, and this got them back, like because Pokemon Go is the type of game that you kind of always wanted growing up, where like the idea of catching Pokemon in the wild, in your real life, was unfathomable, and the fact that like they were able to make that happen still blows my mind, and I'll never forget being so upset at the Comic-Con of that first year, and we got nothing. All we got was the president of Niantic talking about how great he thought the game was, and we got no raid, no special Pokemon, nothing. It was no joke, a harder panel to get into than getting into like the Warner Brothers studio panel. Like that's how insane that panel was that year. Before we get off on too many tangents, for all of our new listeners, you are all new because this is our first episode.
Welcome.
We are the format of the show will be fairly regular. We're going to have a news section for some of the news topics of the week. We will have like Comic Book Nation, a bit more of a deep dive conversation. For this week, it will be Megan went to Japan. She saw Detective Pikachu. She's talked to everyone who was in that movie and made that movie. And then just a fun little thing where we're going to just sort of dive into a bit of some fun little unknown facts about Pokemon, some particular Pokemon in particular, talk about that for a bit, and then close out. So let's just kind of jump right into the news. Hoffer, why don't you start us off? What do we got?
Okay, well, this week they announced a new Pokemon app called the Pokemon Pass app, and it basically replaces the codes that people used to get special Pokemon like shiny Pokemon or legendary Pokemon. So you download this app on a phone, you go and scan a QR code at a participating retailer, and then you can get a new code that you can put into your Pokemon games and get that special Pokemon. So the first Pokemon that they're doing is a shiny Pikachu for Let's Go Pikachu and a shiny Eevee for Let's Go Eevee. And you can go and download Pokemon Pass now, and the promotion starts on May 11th, I believe, at participating Target stores.
I feel like I am shocked that it has taken them this long to pull something like this together. I know you could tell it was starting when Let's Go came out and you were able to tie your Pokemon Go account to it and things like that. But like the fact that they didn't have a central service that the Pokemon Company kind of owned and operated kind of blows my mind. I have never been one to do the store hopping thing to get the exclusives and stuff like that, mainly because to me it felt like a lot of work, and I don't know if that makes me sound just lazy as hell or whatnot, but it just felt like a lot of work. But the fact that I've got something that is available on my phone that I can then just sort of go in, stop at Target when I'm buying something else, grab that QR code, and then just like head out the door. Thank God.
Easy. Pokemon made
It
easy.
also solves this big problem that some people had where you'd go to a GameStop and they would have already run out of codes.
Yeah.
And so then you were kind of screwed. So this fixes that problem really easily.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of like that. I think the problem that they had was more of they just didn't give enough out to stores across the thing. But I do like the idea of that sort of limited time window kind of thing because it incentivizes someone to get in and get it if they really want it. And at least you don't have to like wait on a long line. It's a QR code if it's only like a timed window because then it like there is a bit of collectability to this stuff. And so I'm sure it would, like tick off. Like I know for Pokemon Go when they do the limited time stuff, there's people, someone is always going to complain, but I've always liked the idea of there being that limited time window. And so I wouldn't be opposed to like, if every so often they do one that, you can get kind of all the time, but like maybe down the line, every once in a while, they do one that like you need to show up at Target at 3:00 for, 3 to 4 o'clock. And if you don't, well, you're just SOL.
Yeah, the time limit I definitely think makes that exclusivity because going back to when I was a kid trying to get specific Pokemon cards and like going to events just to get like the coin flips or the damage counters, like I was very much in that. But I had all the time in the world because I was a kid. My parents, not so much. My grandmother, God bless her, in her minivan. But as I've grown older, I understand that like exclusivity to the fandom. So like definitely like if it's like you have 3 hours to get to Target, I'm gonna go to Target. So I definitely
just imagine
like that,
if it gets to be something like that everyone wants and they only put it in that time window, like there's going to be pandemonium. But I would love it.
Oh yeah, Target would also be, hey, yes, have you seen our Pokemon card section?
Right, exactly.
lead us this way. Like, yeah, they'd be fine with it, and I'd be fine with it. So I'd have to fight someone for some parking, but it's fine. I have this Pikachu plush. I just throw it out the car at someone.
So we're all in agreement that this is like the best idea for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
Streamline's great.
Excellent. All right, Christian, what do we got next?
So Warner Brother France has a new Pikachu translator that will translate any web page into Pika Pika.
Yes.
I am just mad that it is only in France.
Yeah.
Like that just seems like a missed opportunity.
Also, like if you highlight it and you do the like text to speech, is it Pika Pika but with a French like accent? Like what does that sound like? I have questions. Like
I don't.
I can't even do it. I'm just not even gonna try to insult everyone with my accent. I have so many questions. Like who does the Pikachu dub in France? Is it? I have questions.
Oh,
I have questions now. This is actually legitimate research I need to do.
I do think that anyone can download the extensions.
Okay.
It's just, Warner Brothers France is the one who put it out.
Kudos.
But I guess Pikachu is a
Kudos.
universal language, so.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I love that type of stuff. Like when they put out like any one of those weird extensions that do either block out words or replace words or whatnot. That stuff's always fun. Like this is. Don't get me wrong. This Pika Pika thing is a total novelty that I will. Immediately be over in like the 3 minutes after I get it, but
Yes.
I still want to do it.
Like I was about
yeah.
to say, where's my Meowth extension? But then I just remembered it's just gonna be Meowth, except it's just always gonna end with, and that's right, or something like that. So, all right, we'll get it one day.
All right, what do we got next?
We got some weird Pokemon Go stuff going on. Earlier this week, they released the Lake Guardian trio, Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf, as wild Pokemon. This is the first time that legendary Pokemon have been released in the wild as opposed through raids or the special research breakthrough events. So that's pretty crazy. And for 10 minutes, players could catch Shellos too, but they pulled that out of nowhere.
All right.
To me, though, like for those to be the first legendary Pokemon to be caught in the wild, womp womp.
Yeah, I'm loving the idea of having them, and I feel like they probably picked these just to like roll test to figure out how it's gonna work, like the spawn rates and locations and like what that like engagement looks like. But yeah, as soon as they're like, I don't know, I already have like 40 Moltres, but like as soon as they're like, hey, you can find Moltres in the wild in like this general area, like a spawn nest. Oh, you best believe I'm gonna be scouring
Well, so
for
but
more
here-
Moltres.
But here's the thing, though. If they put, I mean, it would be really interesting to figure out what the spawn rate is, right? Because like there is potential to release these type of legendary Pokemon out there, have people just go out and catch as many as they can, and then that's all you're gonna see, in gyms and whatnot. And to me, like that is a real sort of fine line. But I do like the idea of having a spawn rate for legendaries out in the wild for a potentially more casual type fan.
Yeah.
Like I would consider myself a like as casual as you can get of a Pokemon Go player, where like I will go to like if I'm at the zoo or whatnot, I will open it up while my kid is looking at the monkeys or whatever and try and catch some stuff. But like if I was doing that and I happened to come across a legendary Pokemon, I would be like, "Oh shit!" Like, sorry, I didn't mean to curse, but like, I would be like, "Oh no!" Like, we're not moving from this spot until I catch this Pokemon. We're not moving. You want to go see the flamingos? You go see the flamingos. I'm staying right here. But I think it will. I could see them. I'm really curious to see how this has an effect on the ecosystem, kind of as a whole, for Pokemon Go. Like to me, just on paper, it has the potential to be completely catastrophic. And I don't know if I trust Niantic to not F it up.
Yeah, that's always the big key there is, can Niantic screw it up? And the answer is almost always yes. I do think that this is it's a necessary step because we're getting to the generations where there's more and more legendary Pokemon, and a lot of them just aren't that good. I mean, last summer we had the Reggie trio, Registeel and Regice and Regirock, in raids all summer, and no one participated in those because they're junk legendaries.
Wah, wah.
True. That's not even a hot take. Like it's just so true.
It's the truth.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Poor Registeel. I did like Registeel a little bit.
But like, would you want to see them put some of the older legendaries into this system, or do you think it's really something that they will just do sort of going forward with the gens that they haven't touched yet?
I think they'll cycle them in gradually. I mean, you kind of saw that with the legendary birds and how you can catch them as special for the breakthrough stuff. And so I think that they'll kind of get phased in, so you'll be able to catch them through research breakthroughs, and then eventually they'll just get added to the wild as these super rare spawns.
Mm-hmm. As long as they just don't start doing this with like Tyranitar, I'm fine. Because whenever I see the really hardcore Pokégo players and they have like parties of Tyranitar, I'm always just terrified. So as long as they don't start like spawning those guys just to fight in the wild, I'm fine. Because I'd be crying. I'd be so scared.
The fan cried if that happened.
Yeah, it would be too much.
Have we? Now this is me being ignorant because I don't, like I said, I'm a completely casual Pokemon Go player. But are there such things as shiny legendaries, or not yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually have a shiny Articuno and a shiny Gorilla.
I saw a shiny.
Oh god, the shiny
Mewtwo.
Articuno is like easily one of the ugliest ones too.
Yes.
It's a light blue. It's basically the same
oh.
Pokemon.
Oh no, then I'm thinking. I thought which one of legendaries is green as a shiny? Is that Mewtwo? Mewtwo. That's the one that's ugly.
Yeah, Mewtwo's green. I saw one in Japan. I was like, what have they done to my boy? They have massacred my boy. But I mean, also ultra rare, and you get bragging status for real. But yeah, I just want my OG.
Speaking of shinies, they've added some, right?
Yes, they added a shiny Diglett to the game because enough players participated in these like sanctioned Earth Day events. So players can get shiny Diglett now.
Because that's a shiny that everyone wants.
I wish I was more excited about this.
It's one of those Pokemon that looks exactly like the non-shiny, only this one has a blue nose instead of a pink nose. So
great.
If you want your blue nose Diglets.
Can you get a shiny Doug Trio if you get enough?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right,
It works the same way.
All right.
You just your shiny Diglett into a shiny Doug Trio.
I mean, I would rather
don't
have
know
a shiny Doug
Trio.
Trio than a shiny Diglett, but
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's 3 blue noses.
Yeah. At least you get us like a better offer. But if you're like if anyone who's listening to this is super excited for that shiny Diglett, please hit me up because I want to have a conversation with you about like what led you to this point. No judgment. I'm legitimately curious. Like that's one of the Pokemon, that and Zubat, that like I just saw so much playing as a kid. I'm just like numb to now.
and Rattata.
Yeah.
Although I love the Alolan Rattata.
The Alolan Rattata, yes.
Like
With his little
I would just.
mustache.
Yeah, I love the mustache and I love the colors.
Very
All
much.
right, I think we got one more news thing, and then we're going to jump into Detective Pikachu. What's the last thing we got, Hoffer?
Snubbull and Psyduck are coming to Build-A-Bear. So those were both announced. I know you love Build-A-Bear, Jim, and you'll be able to get both of those. And Snubbull is the first Gen 2 Pokemon, I believe, that's part of the Build-A-Bear collection.
Yep. So, fun fact for the folks at home. I worked at Build-A-Bear for like 7 years. I was in the Thanksgiving Day parade for like 4 times as the mascot dancing on the float. So Build-A-Bear has an immense part of my heart. But I will and so that bias aside, to me, the Pokemon collection at Build-A-Bear is easily some of the best plush for Pokemon, period. I mean, they're the perfect size. All of the starters are great. The Pikachu one's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they've done 2 Vulpixes now, the Alolan Vulpix and the regular Vulpix. Psyduck is a great choice because, as we'll get to it, Megan will say Psyduck is the breakout star of Detective Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
And Snubbull, I think, is a great choice too. Like, he's one of those, I feel like he's a bit more of a cult favorite than he is maybe like a kid favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But these are no joke the best Pokemon plush I think you can get. Period. Like they're like I said, I love them. The quality on them is great. They look great. I love it.
I will just say this, as everyone in the office knows, I am a Build-A-Bear freak. I collect all the Marvel Build-A-Bears, and I also collect the Pokemon Build-A-Bears. I have the Vulpixes. I have so many. And so as soon as I was in Japan, because that's when the news broke that there was a Psyduck, I was on my way to see Detective Pikachu, and I just got irrationally excited. And everyone was like, "Are you okay? Like on the subway train going to this place?" And I was like, "I don't think you understand. This Psyduck is wearing a raincoat. Like I don't think you understand. I need it."
To be fair, I will say the Pokemon coming to Build-A-Bear was the best way to get my kid vaguely interested in Pokemon. She kind of loves the idea of Build. She likes going to Build-A-Bear and whatnot. And so when Pikachu came out, we did it. And that was it. That was kind of the moment she just sort of fell in love with Pikachu and all that. And so, like I said, it's from a total business side that probably no one cares about. It's a phenomenal move because like Build-A-Bear is something that people have said, oh, is that fad ever going to die? And I said, as long as babies are being born, Build-A-Bear will remain in business. As long as they can, and if they can start signing smart licensing deals, I mean, it's smart for Build-A-Bear to sign those licensing deals, but also for the Pokemon Company, it's a great way to just get fans a bit into it. And I love the ones that they're doing it smart with the starters that they chose, the Pokemon that they chose to get parents who are now, like Christian, you've got a kid who's just about the same age, like us as parents, like we have that nostalgia binge. We want to go, we want to get them. And so I love it. And Psyduck is one who is just, I'm surprised it took this long to get to Psyduck. I'm surprised we got Meowth before we got Psyduck, but I'm glad we have Psyduck.
Yeah. No, Psyduck is going to be great. I think that's going to be probably like their new hot seller.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, so coming up next, we are going to dive right into Detective Pikachu. And let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Megan, you spent last week in Japan.
Yes.
You got to hang out with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
You got to hang out with Pikachu.
Yes.
At this point, when this episode goes live, the review embargo will be up. So,
yes.
Megan, obviously spoiler free. We're not giving away anything.
I won't do that to anyone here.
You alluded in the beginning of this podcast where you said what Iron Man did for the MCU, Detective Pikachu will do for Pokemon.
Detective Pikachu blows away any expectations you have about what Pokemon could be. I know we've all talked about here, we are all diehard Pokemon fans. There is a scene that has been seen in the trailers where there's a shot of Rhyme City and you see a bunch of Pokemon. And without saying anything, when that scene appears in the film, it's a little different. And I started crying. I was tearing up because it is the ultimate wish fulfillment for fans. You believe you're in a world of Pokemon. In that theater, you expect there to be like a Charmander sitting next to you. The world building this film does is insane. Like, yeah, there's some inconsistencies, but like it's Pokemon. You have to have a little bit of like suspense of like disbelief. But it gets to the heart of Pokemon, which is, I think, the most important part. For those who aren't familiar with what Detective Pikachu is, it is based off a game which came out in 2016. Very under the radar. It was different for the franchise, very story based. Came out in Japan. A lot of people in the US had no idea about it.
I remember at first being like, I don't want to play that game.
Yeah, everyone was like, Detective Pikachu is what? And I remember watching playthroughs of it on YouTube of fans translating because I couldn't figure out what was happening. Now it's here on the big screen, and I just want everyone who is interested in Pokemon or who has a nostalgic love for it or is still a diehard fan, this film is going to hit you hard. It's just emotionally will just fulfill everything you wanted as a kid, basically.
I remember when this first came out, the genesis for for the look of this world and how the Pokemon look is kind of a crazy one. Because I think, Hoffer, a long while ago, you had covered this one dude, this artist on DeviantArt or whatnot, who was drawing realistic depictions of Pokemon. And they were crazy good, crazy real. Yeah. And it kept popping up every couple of months being like, oh my God, look at how great these things are. That dude got hired to concept out this world. And that to me, that is so cool. But it also, these trailers, and you can speak to it a bit more, but the Pokemon look so good. Even someone like a Mr. Mime, who is this weird humanoid-y type Pokemon, looks great. I think I remember reading a story where the director had to plead to the head of the Pokemon company to let them use Mr. Mime because they initially thought it was going to be too weird. Because on paper, a realistic looking Mr. Mime is really weird.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
it's horrifying.
Yes. Well, when I was able to speak with the director, Rob Letterman, as well, and I asked him, like, what's the weirdest thing? And he said, Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is the weirdest thing about this movie. He makes no sense, but he said that he really loved the idea of having, like, a cop procedural interrogation, but with a mime. And then the Pokemon company was like, I don't know if that can, you don't know if that's going to work out so well. But in the film, the clips that we've seen in the trailer are just scratching the surface. There is so much more to that scene. And I mean, everyone in the theater who I saw it with, it was a pretty packed theater for the screening that I saw advanced in Japan. And people were just dying in laughter. It was so unexpected to see the interactions between Mr. Mime and Pikachu continue. Because it's an interaction. When you think of Pokemon interacting, if you're primarily coming from the games, you expect, like them to be fighting each other or like having a tournament. If you're an anime fan, you have a little bit more understanding of how Pokemon interact just in day-to-day life of, living and existing together. But this film takes it to an entirely new level of, what jobs could Pokemon have, like in this world, in this Rhyme City, in this region that, everybody coexists together. That's kind of the point. So it's not only do these characters look like they could be in real life, like I fully expect there to be a Squirtle sitting at my desk when I go back to work. But it also, they fit them in, they give them roles in the real world that just fit so seamlessly that you're like, oh yeah, no, I definitely expect to go to Starbucks and see like a Ludicolo giving me an espresso. So it's love and attention and the care it gave to the world building is insane, first and foremost. And that is why I say Detective Pikachu could be what Iron Man was to the MCU for Pokemon, because it lays out a massive universe with history. Without any spoilers, it goes back, it touches on all the regions, it touches on so many historical points about Pokemon and how they tie in with, millennia ago. It gives so many opportunities for where this franchise could go next. And in my personal opinion, what I hope, and I pitched to Ryan Reynolds after our interview, was that I fully expect like a 6-movie deal of just like an epic Pokemon trainer arc that ends with the Elite Four.
Oh, I mean, that's the pipe dream, right? But I think like I'm glad that this movie has a bit of breathing room away from Endgame, and that like it's 2 weekends after, so it's just enough for everyone who's gonna go see Endgame twice. Will go ahead and see it, and then Detective Pikachu can come out and just I truly hope it comes out swinging, because like I said, I know that they have a massive plan for this franchise. I just want it to like be cemented. I want all of those plans to be cemented by that opening weekend. But we gotta, so we will talk more next week about Detective Pikachu and some expectations sort of going in, because like I said, we'll still be a week out from it. There'll still be another episode even before then on it. So we'll have plenty of Detective Pikachu stuff to talk about. But we got to wrap up a little bit, so we want to get to our last segment. We'll do this one pretty quick. We haven't named this one yet, but it's going to basically be Poke Facts, Poke something.
Poke points.
Poke points. Or like, who's that Pokemon? Not really. Christian, I'll let you take this one away. You picked the first one, and I love it.
Okay. So, Magikarp. We all know Magikarp. We all love Magikarp. I'm wearing a Magikarp. Why does he, or it, evolve into the mighty and powerful Gyarados? Any you guys can answer because I gave it to you, but why do you think that is?
I would say because Magikarp has an inferiority complex. But I feel like that's the wrong answer.
I imagine it has something to do with tradition, and so I'm going to go with just a traditional sort of thing.
Yes, you would be correct, Jim. There is a Chinese legend that states that any carp that can jump over this mythical dragonscape, which is located above a waterfall at the top of some mountain, will transform into a powerful dragon. And actually, Pokemon Snap, our favorite Pokemon game, actually references this.
Really?
Yeah, you have to, in order to get the Gyarados picture, you need to basically like Bester Ball Magikarp into a waterfall. And once it gets into the waterfall, that's where it will evolve into Gyarados.
Ah,
I kind of love that.
that is deep cut. That's
Gyarados,
deep cut.
always on my team, no matter what.
Oh, no, I won't go into specifics, but if you are a Magikarp Gyarados fanatic, Detective Pikachu has like maybe the best scene ever for you. Very validating. So.
My son is a big Magikarp fan. He refers to Magikarp as Mr. Fish, and
Nice.
Mr. Fish is actually behind me right now.
Perfect.
Bless.
All right, with that brings our first inaugural episode of A Wild Podcast Has Appeared, the official Comicbook.com Pokemon podcast, to an end. You can find us anywhere podcasts can be found every Thursday, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, Comicbook.com. Please come to the site. See all the great Pokemon stories that Megan's writing for Detective Pikachu, that Christian's writing for everything else Pokemon. You can find me on Twitter at Jim Biscardi.
You can find me at Twitter at Megan Peters CB.
Hoffer.
And me at Seahawker Seabus.
We hope you like this episode. We're gonna, like I said, this train is just leaving the station, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a big year for Pokemon, and it's gonna be a big year, for us. There's a ton of stuff coming. So, like I said, tell all your friends, suggest it to your mom, suggest it to your grandma, have everyone, subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. If you listen to Comic Book Nation, you'll know we will occasionally read reviews on air. And if you do, we'll send you out a comicbook.com t-shirt. Who doesn't love free shit?
Yeah.
So with that, we're out of here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.